So as we've just gone through the midway point of today's race here in Talladega, we have a tire situation on our hands, obviously. Rusty Wallace, Brad Daugherty, and Ray Evernham. Ray, you're a crew chief. You're sitting down there on the pit box. You're watching this happen. What are you thinking? What are you doing?
Well, you got somebody from Goodyear by the shirt right now. First of all, I mean, honestly, too many races this year have been decided on tires. So they're checking codes, they're checking pressures, they're trying to find out what's going on. 1, 2, 3 of them, you say cuts. We're starting to have some problems, and thank God that NASCAR brought in soft walls.
Yeah. And another thing going on right now, as a driver out there, if you're having this problem, you need to be talking to your driver, saying if there's anything you can do inside of that car to minimize this in any particular way, you better get after it. I mean, if the car's too tight, you're sliding the front end, try to minimize it. If the car's running real loose, guys, try to minimize that. You're trying to take care of the right front, take care of the right rear, because that's where the problems are right now. It's just not one corner. We've seen it in the front and the back.
That's what I was going to say, Rusty. We're seeing guys, Brian Vickers' race car was on the straight, going down through, then the right front tire just lets go. It's going to start, it looks like it's happening at any place on the racetrack. So in the mind of the driver, there's got to be that little seed planted now. Does that create a little bit of doubt?
It could be. Ray, one question I do have for you with these bump stops, these guys running the very front, the car's running so low. Could it be working the inside edge of the tires and hurting the tires that way?
It could be, but it doesn't look like that, Rusty. It looks like there's something going on from the centrifugal force of the speed for extended periods of time that's making the tire have a problem. And again, that's only my speculation.
Yeah, we again have asked Goodyear for someone to come on camera and comment. They have told us they're still researching it, and when they have something to say, they will come and talk with us. Meanwhile, let's talk with some crew chiefs about what they're seeing. Shannon?
Alan, we're down here with Gil Martin, crew chief for Clint Boyer. Gil, obviously there's some issue with the tires going on. We really don't know what it is yet, but are there any precautions that you guys can take to prevent it from happening to this team?
Well, what we're doing right now is we're checking with some of the other teams and our teams, obviously, on pit road, but the 33 blew a tire earlier. We're checking the codes, serial codes on the tires. Anything we've got around that we're trying to get rid of. But I think a lot of it's got to do with the guys running a little bit higher air pressure on the right side, a little higher than recommended. And with that happening right there, the car's got a little early speed in it, but it's very abusive on the tire, especially if you got a lot of camber in the right front. So we've kept our air pressure on the conservative side, and haven't seen any problems yet, so knock on wood, we won't have any.
Yeah, and Clint Boyer currently running 7th.
A lot of theories still, just that though, a lot of theories about the unfolding tire situation here at Talladega in the middle point of this race. Asked you our AT&T Crew Chief Challenge question earlier, which chaser will get their first restrictor plate win today at Talladega? Obviously, if you voted for Denny Hamlin, it is not going to be him. He was just involved in a heavy crash. A lot of you think it will be Matt Kenseth. And not a bad pick. Matt has had a very strong run today. Back with more after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
We are at lap 103 of the AMP Energy 500 at Talladega as they come down to the green flag again and restart. Scott Riggs in the 66 car showing the way. Riggs, a lot of speculation this weekend. He told me with a big smile on his face yesterday he had a contract in hand to sign this week which would settle his plans for 2009, but he'd like to win one first. And he will lose the lead just that quickly coming off the corner to Paul Menard.
Yeah, he got a little too far out front there, and these guys kind of teamed up behind him and left him sitting.
Now, these DEI cars have been very strong today, too. See, Almirola, he's pushed quite a few guys. We saw him push Dale Jr. right to the lead just like this.
Yeah.
44 car, David Rudiman had a tire issue early in the day back on lap 53, and he has gotten back on the racetrack and running pretty well.
Yeah, it doesn't look too good. Not part of the UPS decals off of there on the right side, but we still know who that is and running well.
And he's ninth.
Yeah.
Have a tire come apart, and then come back and run in the top 10 with Elliott Sadler right on his deck.
We'll let you know that Ken Schrader got the free pass once again. That was his second straight, and he's actually back on the lead lap now.
Yeah, he was 2 laps down at one point. So with all this action we've had, he's gotten a couple of them back. Paul Menard, he's out here out front. You know, he won his very first race that he ran here at this track. He drove for me in an ARCA race, and he'd never seen the place. Came here and won the race. He knows how to get it done here.
Big news of the week is that he will move in 2009 to Yates Racing. His dad, the sponsorship Menards, going to run Fords, possibly a third Ford for them in 2009. Juan Pablo Montoya's Dodge getting a little push from Junior in the Chevy.
Dale Jr., he looks out there for the fastest car that he can find and run with, and he's usually pretty good about picking one out. This 42 is fast today.
Yeah, there's more than just having a fast car. You got to know what to do with it and how to work your way back to the front. These guys took on 4 tires. They're not playing this game of maybe 2. They're not taking any chances. They got them back in the pack, but they know they have a fast enough car if they can get hooked up together, move back to the front. Dave?
And Dale, you know what? This is one of the things that Dale Jr. does up there when he runs up at the front. He learns. He learns what's going on with a 42 car, who he can draft with, as we see a pass for the lead again, who he can draft around, who might be his friend at the end of the race. And that's one of the things that Jr.'s been doing all day long. Even a guy who runs so well here, still taking on the data.
Well, you have to be willing to learn throughout this race. You can't come in here thinking that even though you've done well and everybody talks about Dale Jr. being the man, you have to be ready to accept what's going to be happening in this race and whose car may be better. You see the 2 of them going to the high side here again.
Got to get Harvick there, Jimmy Johnson up there, Biffle up there. Now there's 5 of them to be able to take on the other lines.
I'm sure somebody's going to jump up here in front of Montoya here in just a second. Well, that'd be his teammate. Slows his progress down some.
Reed Sorensen, the 41, the 07th car there, by the way. That is the only car, Clint Boyer. He's the only chaser who has not led a lap today.
If he can hang on right there, those guys will push him to the front.
I was going to say, hang on a lap or 2 here, Will.
That could change.
It'll be his turn here before long.
Yeah, this is equal opportunity day here for sure.
Denny Hamlin, we are being told, is alert and awake, but will be transported to an area hospital for further evaluation. Good news that he was alert and awake after that hard impact into the safer barrier there just a little bit ago.
Yeah, here's 2 drivers right here, Dale Jr. and Montoya, that I think we're going to see teaming up some more before the end of this race. I think both of them know that they have fast race cars, and they both know how to, even though Montoya hasn't won here, he finished second the first race.
And back in April, I started to say, DJ, it was Montoya who actually pushed Kyle Busch through a bunch of traffic late, and Montoya impressed a lot of people starting back in 26 to run in the top 5 most of the day and finish second.
Every restrictor plate race has its own personality, and there's different guys that you can work with sometimes. Maybe the last race you worked with a certain driver or car, it doesn't work this race. They're all different, and they're spending all this part of the race right now trying to find the guy that they can work the best with and what situation they want to be in when it comes down to that last 10 laps.
Yeah, well, what's happened now is we've got a much smaller group of cars. So, instead when we had literally 43 cars all piled together, as we see them still battling hard, but they've only got about 28 cars here on the lead lap that they're having to deal with. So it makes it a lot easier, and you can find that guy. We see Matt Kenseth right here giving a nudge.
Keep talking about these cars running hot. They don't run far enough apart from each other to get any air in the front. You see these guys just right against each other, and they're 3, 4 wide at times.
Kenseth in the middle of there's Biffle in the back. Shannon.
Doc, the back is where Greg Biffle has been this entire race. He has been hanging out back there. I spoke with his crew chief, Greg Irwin, and you want to keep this in mind. In practice on Friday, Greg Biffle made 4 drafting runs, and in 3 of those 4 drafting runs, he was able to move from the back to the front. Greg Irwin told me, we're going to let the race dictate where we run today, but they have been hanging out in the back, but don't expect them to be there for long.
Remember, Biffle has raced here 11 times, has never had a top 5 or a top 10 finish.
Well, if he's literally going to use that, you see Bobby Labonte going up through the middle. He has a fast race car, but if Biffle's truly going to use that strategy, you have to really show patience and use it all day. 78 laps to go doesn't mean it's time to go. You've got plenty of time left here, and so he's going to still have to continue to be patient. He can get his way to the front.
How long can you wait? I mean, really, realistically, how long can you wait to make that move?
Honestly, with a good race car, with this group of cars right here, you could wait till lap 180. 8 laps, you could make your way to the front easily. And if you go too early, we heard Jeff Gordon say that right before the race started, he made his way up there too early and got shuffled back. You want to be going forward when we get down here. We see Tony Stewart headed to the front with the push of Montoya.
Tony Stewart had led 2 laps today. Now make it 3 as he gets the push by from Montoya. Remember, Tony led the most laps here in the April race.
We've had 50 lead changes in 111 laps.
Unbelievable.
This is just fantastic.
We have now tied the all-time record for different leaders at 26, set here back in 1986 and again in 2001. 26 of the 43 starters have led this race today.
So far, we've still got time for the other guys.
And no power being thrown on David Rudiman, who was running in the top 10.
After all that. Worked his way back in the top 10. Now he's got a problem.
76. Hold your breath. Laps to go at Talladega. It's going to get even better, folks. Don't go away. You're watching ESPN on ABC.